Hello there and welcome once again to The Verdict. I'm Mick Cornett along with Kent Meyers. We're here every week meeting interesting people and dealing with topical issues. And boy, this is an issue that touches a lot of Oklahomans.
Yes, indeed. A lot more than I really thought when we scheduled the show. And I might say to schedule the show, a shout out to my wife and producer Amanda.
Is this her idea?
This was her idea.
I thought
to
it
do
was a
this
good
show.
idea. I knew it couldn't have been yours. So
Well, much better than the ideas I have, I'll tell you. But we're really pleased today to have a couple of guests talking about the Oklahoma Department of Veterans Affairs. I think it'll be very interesting.
they do a lot of great work.
They
It's all
really
coming
do.
up today on The Verdict. We'll be right back.
I wanted to become a princess ever since I was little. Being crowned is an amazing feeling. It means everything to me to represent my tribe, especially as princess.
The Chickasaw Princess program has been in existence since 1963. The leadership and the skills that we learn as being the Chickasaw Princess has been handed down from generation to generation.
We're the ambassadors of the Chickasaw Nation for a year.
We're a special group of ladies that have represented different governors and lieutenant governors over the years.
I would tell young girls who want to become a princess just to go for it. Don't let any barriers stop you from doing what you want to do.
There are some dynamic young ladies that are going to be great ambassadors for the Chickasaw Nation out there. Once a princess, always a princess, with honor and dignity.
See more stories about the Chickasaw people at profilesofanation.com.
The Vet Hero office at the University of Central Oklahoma, it is a one-stop shop for veterans when they're trying to get their education.
I call it my encore job. I get to take care of veterans. We help them transition. I was that guy that transitioned after 24 years, and in the end, GI Bill is a benefit that those soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marine earned. It was the thing that made us the greatest country in the world coming out of World War II, and it will continue to do the same thing for this future generation of service members.
Welcome back to the set of The Verdict. Mick Cornett with Kent Meyers, and Kent's going to introduce today's guest.
As we talked about in the open, we've got two guests to talk about Veterans Affairs matters today. Straight across from me is the Honorable Josh West, the State Representative out of District 5, Meyers, and Delaware counties. He's also the Majority Leader in the House of Representatives. He began his service there in 2016. He is a veteran and a Purple Heart Award recipient. He is active in veterans matters as a legislator and as a veteran, and this is his first visit to The Verdict. Josh, sure glad to have you.
Glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you. And right next to Josh is Linda Mussett, Women's Veteran Coordinator with the Oklahoma VA in 2011. Lisa started her service with the Oklahoma Employment Security Commission in Southeast Oklahoma, and that changed to become an employee of the Oklahoma Department of Veterans Affairs in 2017, and she is the Women's Coordinator for the Oklahoma Department of Veterans Affairs. She is she's a veteran herself, served 4 years in the Air Force, in part in the Intelligence Command abroad. Welcome, Lisa.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Glad to see you. Go ahead.
Lisa, tell us about the Women's Veterans Affairs. What's going on? What are you active in?
Well, the position that I hold was actually created by legislation in 2018. We've had women within our agency serve in different roles. We have active and accredited service officers that are in every region of the state. Those of us who help, I am one of those as well. We assist our women with claims and accessing benefits. With the legislation, it created a position called the Women Veterans Coordinator, and that specifically has a mission in mind of ensuring equitable access for all of our women veterans to state and federal benefits.
What type of benefits are undertapped? Where are we missing out?
Well, one of the things with women veterans, we have research has shown that we're actually the least likely to identify as veterans. When we return from our service, we'll actually resume our roles as wives and mothers and students and business leaders. But whereas a male will always encounter, they will for a lifetime identify as a veteran, whereas a woman typically does not. So thus she's less likely to access veteran health care or even service-connected disability compensation or pension, cemetery benefits. There's a very small percentage of our women who are actually buried in our national cemeteries. So my role is to really ensure that our women across the state of Oklahoma know what's available to
How many
them.
women are we talking about?
We are talking about over 29,000 women veterans in the state of Oklahoma.
Wow. And is that number increasing?
It is. That number we gain through federal VA standards, and it's those who are accessing benefits already, comparing that also with our census records. So again, we have a new census coming up, encourage those to say identify as a veteran, but then we have some other state programs also that we're going to introduce to help create those numbers.
Representative West, first of all, thanks for your service, not only to our country, but to our state at this point. You're specifically interested in Veterans Affairs, I know. What's drawn you to that?
Well, just being a veteran, that was part of my platform when I first came in. I'll just kind of piggyback off of what Lisa said. You know, it's very important to have someone in that position that can identify. And it's very important to have strong women in leadership up there. My wife's a veteran as well, and so I remember when we moved back to Oklahoma, and you know, we joined our local VFW. And so we walked in there. My wife deployed to Afghanistan a couple of times while she was in the Air Force, and so a lot of the, I guess not the stigma, but it's always when we walk in there together. Well, they didn't think my wife was going to come in as a veteran, but they wanted my wife to join the auxiliary. She said, "No, I'm a combat veteran," and so it's very important to have a voice out there for women. But you know, like I said, it was part of my platform. It's something you know, no matter what position I'm in at the Capitol, I'm always going to deeply care about veterans issues and ensure that we're doing the best thing we can for our veterans in the state of Oklahoma.
Where were you deployed?
Afghanistan in 2002, and then Iraq in 2003. So Purple Heart was in Karbala, Iraq on October 16th, was a firefight. And
give us specifics. What did you encounter?
Well, it was October 16th, 2003. At the time, you know, there were different, the Iraqi military had disbanded. And so, you know, probably May timeframe, you know, after the major push through. And so you had little militias everywhere. And so in every major town, you know, that was one of the holy cities, you had militias that were, you know, basically at the time al-Sadr wanted to take over for Saddam. He wanted to be the next Saddam. And so this was part of his group. It's called the Mahdi Army. And you could always identify them because they wore the black robes, and they carried machetes and AK-47s. You always knew when you were dealing with the Mahdi. And so it was late that night, and we had gotten to, General Sanchez at the time was the general of leading the Iraq mission, and he had put down a curfew in all the major cities. So if you were a male over the age of 12, you were considered a combatant pretty much. And so we were out with PSYOPs that night. We had just imposed a curfew and out with PSYOPs, and my battalion commander was with us. And you know, we were going through the city with the speakers, loudspeakers, and putting out the word about the curfew. And we had stopped in front of a sheik's house, and he had his little militia group there with him. And while we were there, we were setting up meetings. Actually, my battalion commander was setting up meetings with the I guess the internal leadership within the town, the different sheiks and the members of the community. And so while we were there, my gunner Baker was on the gunner. He said, "Hey, Staff Sergeant West, we got to go. Bellevue is a couple blocks over." And so it was a Mahdi Army, and so we pull up. And you know, long story short, we long firefight. I mean, intel reports said the firefight was, you know, 18 to 30 minutes long. I don't know how long for sure. Time slows down and then speeds up. But lost 3 that night. Lost our battalion commander was killed, and the Staff Sergeant Bellevue and Corporal Gurley were both killed. And then I probably had 7 of my 15 guys that were wounded. And then you know, it was just one of those deals, part of combat, but made it out, and always thankful every day. That's kind of what pushes me every day as I wake up. I got skin grafts on my legs, and I was shot in both my legs and my stomach and had a TBI, and so the kind of thing that drives me every day to want to do well for our veterans is I see those scars every day, and so I always remember the sacrifice that my guys made, and so just internal drive, and so.
Well, during this most recent session, were there issues that were presented about Veterans Affairs that were important to you?
Oh, absolutely. Probably the number one thing we did when I first came in, I was talking to some of the senior members, and you know, as veterans, you kind of congregate around each other. You can spot another veteran a mile away, and so we got to talk, and I said, do we have a veterans caucus here? Because there's a caucus for everything up there. And so, this was a senior member who's no longer there, but he said, no, I don't think we've ever had one. So I said, well, let's start. I said, what do we have to do to start one? And so he said, I don't know. So I called up one of the media personnel at the Capitol, and I said, hey, we're going to start a veterans caucus. Can we do a press conference in 2 days? And so that kind of kicked it off, and you know, that allows us, and so it's grown every year. That was in 17, and so we've got probably 25 to 30 veterans, and it's a bipartisan, bicameral, you know, caucus. So House, Senate, Republicans and Democrats, and we've got 25 to 30 that attend regularly, and it just allows us, for one, to, you know, anytime you. A lot of times when veterans issues are discussed in public, it's usually because it's got to a point where it's toxic and something bad has happened. And so, you know, it allows us to discuss issues, it allows us to discuss legislation, bring it before the caucus and come up with a consensus, or not. You know, maybe we don't come up with a consensus. I mean, we're all different. And also we bring in speakers every 2 weeks. We have the caucus, and so we'll bring in speakers. But that was probably the main thing that we did in 17, and it's grown every year. And you know, another one of the focus of the caucus is to bring other veterans in. You know, we feel like as veterans, you know, we obviously handle stress differently than our colleagues. I mean, we just do. I mean, no one's trying to kill me up there at the Capitol, and so and we can, you know, I talk about it all the time. You know, the military is the greatest example of a melting pot. You know, race, religion, creed, orientation, nothing matters. You got one focus in mind, that's to accomplish the mission. And so that allows us to look past a lot of the political junk, if you will, and just focus on the mission, moving the state forward. And so we're really good at that, and we got thick skin. You know, with this job, you know, people say all kinds of stuff about you and your family, and you know, you don't have a private life, but I don't care what they say about me. That helps me with my voting. I'm never worried about voting, what someone's going to say about me, or if I was going to draw an opponent. And so that's kind of that mental outlook that veterans have, is let's just get the mission, you know, mission first. And so proud to be a part of it.
All right, and Lisa, we want to hear more about your Air Force service when we get back after this break.
OU Law has a history and heritage that are unparalleled. At the University of Oklahoma College of Law, we empower our students to pursue the career of their dreams. We have the highest U.S. News ranking ever achieved by an Oklahoma law school. We are the first law school in the country to launch a college-wide digital initiative, and this year, our competition teams rank number 2 in the nation. OU Law, generations of excellence, limitless possibilities.
The good life comes naturally to Tulsa, where nature's beauty is matched with an eye for aesthetics. A legacy of neighborhoods graced with lawns and landscaping and handsome homes. A place that seems to have patented an ideal lifestyle. Bank First is loyal to the quality of life Tulsa assures its citizens, to the priority placed on education, culture, and growth. Loyal to builders who transform raw land into residential charm. Developers who see opportunity and add vitality to Tulsa's economy. Bank First serves both enterprise and private lives that need a loyal partner. It's how we help nurture this city's very good life. Bank First. Loyal to Oklahoma. Loyal to you.
welcome back to the set of the verdict. Mick Cornett with Kent Meyers. We're discussing veteran affairs in the state of Oklahoma. Our guest are Lisa Mussett. She's the Women's Veterans Coordinator, also a veteran of the Air Force, and Representative Josh West, who gave a rather chilling account of his service during the last decade in Iraq during that session. Lisa, there's a lot of young girls out there who might be considering a career in the military. Why'd you choose the Air Force? What was going into your mind that you made that decision?
I can recall being in high school and being encouraged by my counselors to serve my country. I'd always grown up in an area, southeast Oklahoma, and giving back. Very active in my school, my local community, chambers of commerce. I actually was blessed to be one of the students in a state program to work at our local county courthouse. I actually worked within our county tax assessor and our election board over a summer work employment. So I guess the spirit of service was set early. I wanted to enlist while I was in high school. My mother told me no, girls didn't go in the service, which for my personality, telling me no, that didn't fit. So when I graduated from high school, went straight into college. My husband also went into college. He and I graduated together. We married on May 1st, and 2 weeks later, he went into the Air Force. 2 years later, I enlisted. And I called myself a Cold War relic. I went into the Air Force. I wanted to be something simple as an admin specialist. Air Force had something else in mind. They pulled me for something called Morse Systems Intercept Operator.
And what's that?
I went from Air Force basic training to a Army fort outside Boston, Massachusetts for a winter. From there, they pulled me for another specialty, and I was sent to a naval base in Pensacola, Florida. And from there, I went overseas directly into a NATO base in a very remote region of the Hill of the Boot in Italy. It was a signals intelligence unit. We worked for a lot of different agencies. No one knew that we were there. It was one of those locations that everybody thought we were there for the weather. We were there in the middle of the Gulf War. We served honorably, and it was just an incredible experience, and I encourage women always. I participated at the Capitol in Brigadier General Tinkham's ceremony, her promotion ceremony she's first general officer, female general officer within the Oklahoma National Guard. While we were attending her ceremony, we heard a noise, and I looked up over my right, and a group of Girl Scouts were there, and they were surrounding, and my colleagues and I, a lot of females, we were there, and we were like, I wonder if they know what they are seeing. So yes, I always use an opportunity to encourage our ladies, our young ladies and such. One of the events that I promote for yesterday, as I spoke about trying to create awareness and such in our equitable access, we created a program yesterday that we called our Military Roll Call. I really want our program for women veterans to continue the legacy of us as women serving. So I really want to bridge those that are serving today, our women serving today, and honoring the service of those who served in our past. So yesterday we created an event where we enrolled our women in our state veteran registry that we have created. We participated in a ceremony outside at the Dell City Women Veterans Monument. And just an incredible event to host, to provide. There were over 100 women that enrolled in VHA, into healthcare, VA healthcare, applied for benefits. We had homeless women who we made arrangements for transportation to come. It's just an incredible day. I love my job. It is not a job, it is a passion, and I share it across the state. I'm very proud.
Are there issues you're hoping to get introduced into the legislative session next year?
That is something, we had Senator Brenda Stanley up here yesterday with us, and I was struck by all the questions that she asked of me. She had such an endearing heart to see the women. I had World War II women there yesterday, all the way to those currently serving that were there from Tinker and Fort Sill and National Guard. It was just an incredible event. And she was looking around the room and she was like, oh my goodness. She goes, I didn't realize there were so many things about our women veterans and programs and stuff, just like he's saying. As you'll notice, I usually have this. I always have a little tag or something on me because as Representative West was saying, if you ask a child what a veteran looks like, they can envision someone who looks like him, but not necessarily someone who looks like me. So our programs within the state, the Veteran Registry that we're promoting highly, our emergency assistance grants, those are things that are available for our veterans. We really want those that are in this flooded areas of this region to be aware that there are some state assistance available for them. And so to look on our website, and we will help them as well.
Lisa, how are we doing as a state in getting our veterans on the registry and enrolled and educated about what's available to them as compared to what other states may be doing?
Sir, Oklahoma is doing an incredible job. We are known, our state veteran agency has a reputation within the nation of taking care of our veterans. We have, from a state veteran agency perspective, we have multiple states who call us and want to replicate some of the programs that we have on a daily basis. We are doing, there are so many other programs that we try, any type of events that are coming up. We work very closely with our tribes. We have very close tribal relationships. There are numerous things that are coming up in Tahlequah, coming up next month. And that we're going to set up locations specifically with those events to help to be available for those veterans who may need that emergency grant assistance, financial assistance, but also those to enroll in our state veteran registry.
Josh, when you hear from your constituents about Veterans Affairs, what typically are issues that get brought up?
Well, normally it's they're federal issues, and so that's some of the good things we can do as a state rep. I can't make decisions on the federal, but I can facilitate those conversations. So usually when I hear constituents, it's usually having problems with a claim or something like that. So like I said, I have great relationships with our congressmen and our senators and with the federal delegation, and we can help facilitate those. We've got a huge veterans population in my area just because of Grand Lake, and a lot of people retire there. What Lisa was saying with the registry is very important. There were some discrepancies with federal numbers versus state numbers, and so we just want to ensure that our veterans are getting all the benefits that they're entitled to. And so, Joe Kinzel, he's the assistant director of the ODVA. He came to the caucus and showed us, as the members of the caucus, how to in our own self into the system. So kind of a train-a-trainer scenario, and so we can go back when our veterans back home have questions how to do the registry and help them walk them through it. So very important.
Does the department have something online to assist veterans in enrolling in the registry and the like?
Yes, sir. On our website, the link is available, but then also all of our numbers and such. And there's a button that says how to get help. And that, if you click on that, that's going to lead them to where our accredited service officers are throughout the state as well.
Do we have a sizable population of veterans that we believe have served but aren't necessarily registered?
Oh, absolutely.
Well, there's a lot right now. Just because the registry, it's ran through legislation, so it's new, and so there's a lot that haven't registered. We have a huge veterans population in the state just because we have Fort Sill, and then we have the several Air Force bases, and so it's one of our goals is to get them to stay here. That's some of the future legislation we're looking at, some incentives to get those veterans to stay in Oklahoma because they pay taxes, they buy lots of stuff, and so not only we want to be a veteran-friendly state, but it's good for the economy to have people put money in the economy.
Sure.
One of the benefits, if I can add with the registry, is identifying those that haven't applied for services or something of that nature. Already within the time frame that we've had this registry open, we have had one case in particular of a veteran that has come to our attention that more or less a VA claims process has been opened for possibly decades, and that there hasn't been any action taken on that claim. So we are immediately reaching out. We're working with this veteran to get them the benefits that they may have available to them.
Well, thank you both for coming on the show.
Yeah, really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
And I hope
both of you for
I hope our
service.
viewers who might know a veteran who is not in the registry will encourage them to get signed up.
Yeah, I'm going to check myself now.
Thank you. Thank you.
Lisa Mussett, Representative Josh West, thanks again.
Thanks for having me.
All right, Kent and I'll have a final word when we return.
It used to be okay in teachers' lounges. It used to be okay in maternity wards. It was okay in sporting arenas, college campuses, and office spaces. But now that we understand the deadly dangers of secondhand smoke, that's not okay anymore. So why is it okay that thousands of employees are exposed to it every day at work? Bottom line, it's not okay. Let's protect hardworking Oklahomans. Join the fight at stopswithme.com.
All children deserve a life of hope and love, but sometimes they experience a life of pain, neglect, and abuse.
When that happens, each child deserves all the quality assistance and representation that can be offered in our legal system. For more information, call 23-CHILD.
Oklahoma Lawyers for Children, helping to bring hope and love back to the lives of abused children.
You will always be mom and dad to me.
I think for us, once we got started and we began to see the tremendous need just within our state, it really was just a calling for us. The blessings far outweigh any obstacles that we've faced.
You will always be mom and dad to me.
The Journal-Record is pleased to be a sponsor of The Verdict. The Journal-Record, since 1903, the best source of Oklahoma business news and legal information.
Welcome back to the set of The Verdict, a really interesting show on Veterans Affairs in the state of Oklahoma, and two inspiring guests.
Yes, it really were very good, very insightful, and doing good things for the veterans of Oklahoma.
And we got some website information, and then, as I said during that last segment, if you know of a veteran and you suspect they may not be on the state registry, please try and get them to do that. And as Lisa said, you can go to their website, odva.ok.gov, and you can help them get registered with the state. And we have a website. We'd love for you to log on and tell us about a guest you'd like to see or a subject you'd like to see us cover on a future show. But that's going to do it for this week's show. We're so glad you chose to join us here on The Verdict. For Kent Meyers, I'm Mick Cornett, and we'll see you next week right here.